All right, I'm going to walk you through how to make an assessment in Illuminate. And so we're going to make one from the item bank. So first, come up to assessments, click on assessments, and we are going to create a new item bank assessment. There are different ways you can create assessments. I like Illuminate for giving online assessments and using the item bank to create my assessments. So let's click on that. So now I'm in the item bank, and remember, well, let me do this part first. So right now I am going to choose standard mode assessment, and I'm going to press next. And remember, I'm now in the item bank, which looks just like Illuminate, but I'm not in Illuminate. So in order to return to Illuminate, I would press on return to Illuminate, but I just always want to reiterate that until you get used to it, that the item bank and Illuminate are two different things. And now I'm in the item bank. So I'm going to create an assessment, just call it, I don't know, History 1. I can give a description, academic school year. Some of this stuff I'm going to go through fairly quickly because it seems fairly obvious. Grade 7. So what this will do is when I start to create my assessment and choose my standards, it'll narrow some things down for me. So I am going to choose for me California content standards, but you can see you have all these different standards that you can pick from. But I'm going to choose California content standards. I'm going to choose my subject. And I'm going to choose my grade level. And now you can narrow down your standards here. There are tons of standards. For history, it's pretty good. They're getting better with math and NGSS standards. So you'll have hundreds of questions to go through. So you can narrow down your standards if you'd like and just go for certain standards. And every time you click on one, it will give you this little link and say selected. Or I could select this entire standard, and now it will include all of the different standards here. But I'm just going to do these two and walk through and select the items that I want. So far, I've created my test, I've named it, I have selected the standards that I want to use, and then I've selected the specific standards that are going to be on the test. So now I go to next, and I can always go back and forth with these. So if I forgot a standard, I can see that these are the standards I selected. If I want another one, I can say, whoops, I needed the other standard as well, and walk myself back through the process of selecting more standards. So now I can search all of the items that I've selected from these two standards by simply hitting search. It will list those below, and I can go through and add these to my assessment. If I want specific things, I can filter my items. So I can see which item banks that I want to filter. So if I've created items, I can look in just my item bank. I can look at all the public item banks, Core Springs Open Collection, Inspect, and LuciaMar if anybody's created them in LuciaMar. Most of the time I leave them all on so I can see what all is out there. I can do item types. So if I just want to see highlighted selectable test or evidence-based selectable response, non-traditional selected response, constructed response, I can select those types of items and update my filter and search and just get those types of questions. Items with passages, different attributes. So if I want different language, if I want different depths of knowledge. So let's say I have mostly DOK 1 and 2 level. I could just search for those that are DOK level 4. And you can go through, you can do a keyword item search and go through and look at each. These are just filters that you can put onto your items. Now let's start selecting items. First of all, if you look here, we have two little icons, and you'll see different icons for different things. This one This icon will let you know that you can use this to work both paper and online tests. So that's what this combination means. Some, especially for math, if you're doing math computations online, they'll be only online questions, and you'll see it'll say online only. It tells you what type. It's multiple choice. It gives you the standard. It gives you the key. Tells you more about what type of question it is, what level of thinking it is, and all sorts of different stuff. Now you do have to check the questions because some will have some typos here and there, not many, and so I obviously you're going to read through the questions, but just make sure you check them, check the answers, check spelling, stuff like that. Most of them, 99% don't, but I've found a couple here and there that do, just like with anything else. And it's really simple to add them to my test. I just click add. So the first time what I do is I go through and I just add anything I think looks good for my test. So once I've added a bunch, I may want a 20 question test, but I just added, let's say I added 30, even though I added, I think 4 or 5 items where it tells me here 5 items. It tells me the standards they were, and it tells me what type of question I've added. So let's say I've added too many questions and I don't want this on my test anymore. I can simply click remove and remove it from this screen. Or when I go to the next part of creating a test, I get my review of the test. It shows me the order I have the questions in. It shows me which questions I've added. If I want to switch the order, so let's say I want question 3 to be question number 1, I simply change that to a 1 and it'll pop up to question number 1, and then I change my order. If I want to remove a question at this point, I can click on the X and I can remove it. I can reset the choice order, or I can shuffle the choice order from here. So this is in the review portion. Let's move on to the prepare the test booklet. Now, if you don't have to give these online. Again, I think the power of using this is giving it online. But at this point, you could set what type of test booklet you want. You can read through these different options and generate your test booklet, and it'll give you a PDF version that you can print out. Maybe you just want to print out a version as well, or maybe you're going to print a version for if you're going to use it for SPED or something like that. And then finally, when we're done, we get to the publish part. And the part I like about this is it will tell you all the questions that you have. Again, it tells me the standards. It tells me the difficulty, DOK levels, Bloom's taxonomy. So I can see, all right, in this one, they're all medium. Maybe I want a couple easy and then a couple more difficult. Maybe I want here, again, I have DOK level 1 and 2 questions. So this would probably for me be a very simple just quiz or something like that. Now, I want to warn you about publishing. Once you publish your test, it becomes uneditable. So if you're not ready to publish it, let's say you just are putting questions together and getting it ready, just leave it as it is right now. So I've added these questions. I don't want to edit it anymore. I'm going to leave and take a break. How I view this test is I come back to, let's say again, I went on my break, I'm back. I want to re-edit this test. It'll show up in my list of assessments. All of these assessments have not been published. I want to edit my History 1 test. That's the test I was just working on. Again, I just came back from my break. And it's going to bring me back to where I was before I left. I can go back and choose more standards. I can add more items. I can review the test again. I can prepare another test booklet, or I can come to publish. Now, again, when you get to publish, once you publish your test, it is uneditable. So if you find a question that you didn't like on the test, or you want to add a question, you won't be able to do it anymore. There's a little trick to doing this, but let's publish this if I do want to fix something that's wrong with the test. When I publish this, I'm going to publish it. It's going to become uneditable, but I'm done with my test. Let me show you one little trick before we're finished. And let's say I wanted to make changes to this. I found a question that I really liked. I wanted to add the since it's published, so I can't edit it anymore. Quick way to fix that is you can make a duplicate test, and then you can edit it just like you could before you published it. It's actually a new duplicate of the test, obviously, and it'll say copy of. And you can add more questions. You can do all of the editing that you want before, as if it was before it was published. Well, that's it for creating a test. The next one will be how to administer it.